Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Fusion. I don't have a lot of exposure to this game as I've only beaten it the one time, and only when it came out. There was a lot of push at this point in era. I've already talked about this twice. Once with Other M and once with Zero Mission, that they really wanted to push for remakes, proper remakes, and a lot of people were, and it was very common, right? So there was some internal push in the development staff to go ahead and remake Zero Mission, or that's to say Metroid 1, which turned into Zero Mission. But Sakamoto actually pushed back a little bit. He was like, well, hang on. I would really like to do a new original title first. I want to move the story forwards. And I want to completely ignore Prime. What? No, I want to completely ignore Prime. Huh? No, I want to completely ignore Prime. I'm joking. But the point here is that Fusion was just kind of doing its own thing. In many ways, it was considered a Gaiden game at the time, not just because it was on the Game Boy, but because of the fact that it was just not super connected to anything else. So obviously that's not true, and indeed Fusion is going to be is directly connected to the primary story arc, which has functionally concluded at this point with Dread. But what's really weird to think about is we know that Metroid died after Other M, even though two things happened after Other M. Both of them were not particularly good, and Metroid was just kind of blah after Other M. But what we do know is that that's not the biggest gap in Metroid. It's actually the gap in between Super and Fusion, because the gap in between Super and Fusion is the same gap between Super and Prime, as we just mentioned. 8 years. 8 solid years of no Metroid. And a lot of people consider that to be a problem, but it makes perfect sense, and indeed was something that was being done deliberately under the hood. See, the N64 was the N64, and that's cool and all, but uh, do you really want an N64 Metroid game? No, you don't. Of course you don't. Nobody did. And that's what they thought. It was like, okay, hang on. The actual Metroid team themselves, they were skilled primarily in 2D stuff. And the N64 was certainly being very experimental when it came to 3D stuff. But no, everybody under the hood said there's no way in hell we can actually do the Metroid series justice on the N64. So they didn't. They just kind of walked away from it a bit. Unfortunately, there is one other rather tragic thing related to this. I'll talk more about him during Super, but a wonderful man named Gunpei Yokoi, died. And he was the head lead of this particular team, which handled things like the Wario Land series and, of course, the Metroids. And his passing left a huge gaping hole there. And it was actually believed for some time, this is probably a little bit of a Japanese thing, but still, that Metroid should just be left to lie. You know, they had one, they had two, they had Super, cool. Obviously, the aforementioned remake thing helped to revitalize it, and now that they had the GBA to work with, well, we can get back to what we want with Metroid sprites and 2D games. Cool. So almost entirely the same game, almost entirely the same team which worked on Super, as well as almost entirely the same team which worked on Zero Mission. So that's cool. I already have mentioned this, but once again, now that it's actually relevant to the game we're playing right now, this was the team that worked on the Wario Land series, and they had developed their own engine for the Wario Land games. And one of those games was called Wario Land 4, which worked pretty solidly and did well for them. So they just took that engine and used that here. If you've ever played Fusion and like Super side by side, you know that these games play fundamentally differently, and that's pretty much the biggest reason why. This is a Wario engine, and it feels like it. But the thing is, and this is kind of neat in its own right, the developers realized very early on that Samus played so differently from Super that they weren't really sure how to handle that. And so, while there was a bit of a plot of, the Federation and they're doing some experiments and blah, 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 the introduction of Samus becoming part Metroid and the X-Parasite thing was actually specifically introduced to explain why the game played so differently. It's an interesting little bit of serendipity. So they had this big excuse, and that kind of turned into what would eventually become the entire X-Parasite thing, which would be a major lore point of the stories going forwards. One other interesting little tidbit, there was originally a push for there to be voice acting in the game. A push which was pushed back against pretty hard. But the reason I mention this here is because that push really, really wanted there to be very Hollywood-like voice acting. Action flick kind of stuff, right? which I mention because we've already covered Other M. So we see where that got them. Anyways, moving on. Shouldn't have much else to add. Like I said, there's not a huge amount of behind the scenes. No, you're probably wondering why so much of the information that I cover comes from Sakamoto himself and interviews by him. It's because he's kind of the Inafune of the series. And I know you have no idea what that means. So let me explain a little bit. Inafune is the guy who made Mega Man, right? Wrong. Inafune is one of the executive producers who was in charge of pushing the Mega Man franchise and occasionally did bits of work for it, mostly on the artistry side of things. But Inafune is the guy who always went in front of the camera and plugged Mega Man. He was the one who pushed Mega Man. And so the general consensus, both amongst the office and amongst the populace, is that he's the guy that they point to, and this is the Mega Man guy, right? So that's the Mega Man guy. Same thing with Sakamoto. Sakamoto kind of became the Metroid guy. I'll tell a story about this when it comes to Super. And so that's why he's the one who we have so much interviews by. He's the one who gave those interviews. He's the one who consented to that. When people study the Metroid series, they would go and say, hey, can we get an interview? And they'd get him. Now, I don't want to push him down too much because I've already covered Other M. That's all I need to do, push him down. I do want to mention that usually he would bring someone else from the team with him as well. So we get insight from the person who worked on the music and sound design. We'll talk about that in Super, as well as people who did the art design or the level platforming, all that fun stuff. So he would bring in other people. He wouldn't try to hog the credit. So that's cool. But I just thought I'd share why so much of this information comes from Sakamoto, which you're probably thinking, wait, why does that have anything to do with why you have so little information on Fusion? Because there are extraordinarily fewer interviews about Fusion than any of the other Metroids. I don't know why, it's just true. Regardless, let's see what we think of this, shall we? You know, they call that a gunship. Does she have weapons on that thing? You know, other than the one on her arm. What? What? I don't even remember that. Yes, this is the first game that finally pushes the narrative past Super. Surprise me either, Artist Bruce. I would agree, Cycloud. Sakamoto also pushed very heavily for Zero Mission and Fusion, and I'm pretty sure Fusion's is going to be a net positive game. Anyway, so Samus is dead, everyone. Sorry, that's good. So next we're playing Super. Ocean Gaming, you asked if we're playing Dread again. So I could just say yes, but rather than just give you the easy answer, did you know? Love this spray work. Did you know that you can actually check the, oh god, ice missiles. You can check the website, of course, on the upcoming page, but you can also just type !next into chat, which will tell you all of the upcoming games we're playing and the order in which we're playing them. Wow, that is very super. Hit the HUD. I know I've played this game before, but man. Oh yeah, wall jump is going to be very difficult for me, I'm sure. Yeah, it just got funded like yesterday, Ross, so we're going to be playing Republic Commando after we finish Dread. And yeah, I have no idea how I'm going to do the Shine Spark at all. But what we are going to do several things. Yeah, let's just jot down brickwork and sprite work right now. Duh. I don't really care for pickled mushrooms. I prefer pickled pickles myself. Okay. Let's do it to it. I'd been assigned to watch over biologics research team. So I once again found myself on the surface of SR-388. Well, I've never reviewed WoW, JDG Lord. It was there that I was attacked by a life form I had never encountered before. Oh yeah, sorry, I should do the other M voice acting. It was there I was encountered by... It was only later that I learned the identity of my attacker, the parasitic organism we now know as X. Unaware of my condition, I was returning to the station when disaster struck. Once the X had infested my central nervous system, I lost consciousness and my ship drifted into an asteroid belt. The ship's emergency systems automatically ejected the escape pod before impact. Biologics vessel recovered it and transported me to Galactic Federation HQ. However, during the journey, the X multiplied within me, corrupting large areas of my power suit. It then came to light that the organic components of my power suit had become so integrated with my system that it could not be removed while I was unconscious. Large portions of my suit had to be surgically removed, dramatically altering my physical appearance. However, the X in my central nervous system were too embedded to be removed safely. I was given a minimal chance of survival. Then someone found a cure. They proposed using a Metroid cell to make an anti-X vaccine. It seems that the Federation had managed to preserve a cell culture from the last infant Metroid from SR-388. The serum was prepared and injected without delay. The X-parasites were immediately and completely destroyed. Ignore the fact that this goes completely in the face of how the X-parasites work in every other game ever. As for me, one life ended, yet I survived, reborn, as something different. Pondering this fact, I realize I owe the Metroid hatchling my life twice over. Actually, thrice over now, thanks to Samus Returns. We'll soon be arriving at the BSL research station. I must prepare for docking. The ship's computer has notified me of our approach to the Biologic Space Labs, or BSL, a research station. During my surgery, the research team sent the last batch of creatures we captured there, as well as the infected pieces of my power suit. After regaining consciousness, I learned that an unexplained explosion rocked the station. For some reason, this awoke a nameless fear in my heart, and now I'm being sent there to investigate. My mission on the BSL station will be overseen by my new ship's computer. Following the commands of this blunt, computerized CO is something I have to bear, as it was a condition of my taking the ship. For someone who dislikes taking orders, this is the second time I've found myself having to do so. It makes me recall my other CO. Honestly, that's the only thing that makes sense, Federation Builder, because it's not the fact that she's part Chozo. We know that the Chozo fall to the X-Parasite in seconds. We see it happen several times. So that's not it. So the only thing it possibly could be is any Metroid in her. But anyways, there's been an explosion in the quarantine bay. The bay currently stores capsules containing recent samples from SR-388, as well as parts of your suit infected by the X parasites. The cause of the explosion is as yet unclear. Investigate. The quarantine bay is here. Move quickly and quietly. You're still unable to use most of your latent abilities. Don't forget that, Samus. Stop at the navigation room on the way. Uplink from there. Is your objective clear? Now go to the quarantine bay. Whee. Oh, that feels weird. That feels weird. Completely different soundscape, too. Hi, Jiggly. Start off with the grip. I believe this was actually the first introduction of the grip to the franchise. Okay, let me asterisk that. You can actually grip in Super, but you're not really supposed to, in the strictest sense of the word. It wasn't a feature where you could just hang here like this. It was just if you hit the ledge in just the right way in Super, you could ledge grab. But here, it's more like it's just a thing. It's an actual component of the game. So, first area, quickly and officially introducing the power grip. Minimap is pretty much straight up Super. Visuals are excellent, as they usually are. So, I'm going to actually pause for 1 second. Not a fan of the narration. I'm not going to lie to you. That's way too wordy. And a huge portion of that could have been conveyed without a single line of text. Something I know, because this is a Metroid game. They're pretty good at that. Okay. Is it skippable? No, I actually tried in the middle of that. Didn't wake. So, unskippable cutscenes. Yay. We'll put a question mark by that. We're also gonna have to jot down a bunch of stuff, but we'll wait on all that. We'll wait on all that. Let's feel it. Let's feel it. Let's hit the navigation room as ordered. We don't want to do a 0% run after all. The quarantine bay is ahead. Bioskines are confirmed. Be careful. I do like the light. It's unnecessary in every way from a gameplay perspective. It just helps to emphasize the fact that she's entering an area that is slightly darker than where she was. And now it's all damaged. So that's doubly cool. Die, X-Parasite. Die. Oh no! Wait, it didn't kill me instantly! Holy crap! I'm not sure yet, Ross. I'm not sure. I wouldn't give it to Super. I'll be very clear about that. Super doesn't really have cutscenes to be skipped. Unless you count the intro. And that really is it. This is unfortunate news. The specimens brought back by the field team were infected by X-parasites. The X can mimic its prey. Any specimen could have hosted it. Before the explosion, a security sensor scanned one. The gelatinous X-parasites invade and rapidly reproduce, killing the host creature. They also absorb DNA and use it to mimic the host. You're almost killed by an X-infection. Only the Metroid vaccine saved your life. As you know, the thing we just told you about is true. Jesus Christ, Sakamoto. It seems Metroids were the main predators of the X. That's why the vaccine worked so quickly and so well. But it has also changed your cellular makeup. You will never be infected by X again. In fact, you can absorb any free-floating X-parasites without a host by merely touching them. It's allowed you to replenish the health and restore weapons. You may also restore latent abilities, so pursue free X-parasites whenever possible. You can. This station is home to many species, some violent ones. We must keep the X out of the breeding environments at all costs. This is vital, Samus. I'm already detecting massive biosigns in this region. The X are gathering. This may also be your chance to exterminate them, but you are only at 10% battle capacity. Your battleship survival is extremely low. The Federation needs you alive on duty. Is your objective clear? Now, get going. I've released the lock and level 0 hatches. Look for the blinking hatches. Jesus! Wordy much! I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Wow. Yeah, you could see the beginnings of Other M here. Holy crap. Although, unlike Other M, at least this game has, you know, actually good gameplay underneath it. Jesus Christ. Now, allow me to go ahead and say that I think the idea of turning us into something that can absorb X-Parasites in lore was actually a brilliant idea. Because the games have always had drops from enemies. This just kind of bakes in a lore explanation for it, which I'm 100% in favor of. Yeah, it's energy absorption, but it's got a little bit of a different vibe to it. Zoink. Also, they got rid of some of the blood on people. It's actually funny. Super had blood. Because Super was made right before that particular body, which I can't even think of the name of. The ESRB came into existence. Actually, that's not true. Sorry, Super was in development when the ESRB came into existence. No! Adam, let me go! Let me go, Adam! I have received news from HQ. They can support you with downloadable weapons data. Once you have received this data, you'll be able to use missiles. This will help against some of the enemies your beam can't hurt. Head to the data room for the download. The data room is here. Okay, I'm sorry. This is a little wordy. Little bit. I like that idea, Noctis. That computer reminds me of a gruff Federation CO I served under named Adam Malkovich. He called me lady on missions from anyone else. I'm sorry. He called me lady on missions. From anyone else, it would have sounded sarcastic, but Adam made it sound dignified. Out of respect and with some irony, I named the computer after him. Now, I don't mind those nearly as much. Just a little bit of internal thoughts from Samus. Quick, brief, and it's a way to kind of vary up the load screens. Oh, I remember this room. Oh, I remember this room very well. So, I think I've told this story before, but this room, for those of you who know what this room is the very first time that I ever played this game. This is the first section of the game I played. Not where I currently am. The next time we come here. Or I guess the last time we come here. Unlikely Federation builder. At this point in time, well, I don't want to spoil too much, but let's just say Ravenbeak was watching all of his plans fall apart in front of his eyes. Which is... I realize that doesn't narrow it down, because that's always what happens to Ravenbeak, but still. The data room is just ahead. Okay. Missile, get. I'll admit I didn't even catch that, has to mean. 'Cause I'm stupid. Let me tell you what. Dread makes it... No, Adam! Adam, let me out! Dread makes a lot more sense, having actually looked into some of the behind the scenes. Oh, God, that wall jump is wild. Oh, it's wrong. It's so wrong. Oh, God, I can't even do it. Oh, I can't even do it. Electrical interference has knocked out the elevators on the main deck. It's maybe related to the X. I'll work on it. As for you, try to find another way to the target. It's located here. I'm reading huge biosigns. I hope your missiles work. To reload missiles, you can use the recharge room or absorb a special type of X-Parasite. You'll see him. Try it. Is your objective clear? Missiles are your only hope. Don't hesitate to use them. Find a way to the target. Oh, God, the wall jump in Dread is so good. Okay. Alright, so let's pause for a second. Let's pause. Let's take a moment here. There's a concept. It's called empty text. Put that there. I'm going to put a question mark by this one. Then we're going to start adding positives. So first of all, what is this? Main area? What's the name of this stupid place? Main deck. Main deck. Main deck. I'm already in love with the brickwork. They're already doing so much beautiful stuff with this. Look at this. Look how gorgeous that is. Look at that. Even just there. Even just the screen I'm on, which is just some random spot of the deck. Has nothing to do with anything. There's the guardrail, the implication of the machinery that we're technically seeing because we're seeing the bisected version of it. The glass panels in the background, the stars moving by. This sharp. This is immediate positive. Not even going to debate that one. We're going to have to debate several things. So we've got controls, we've got kit, we've got... These are all question marks. It's true, it's also visual storytelling, as we saw earlier. We've also got some good dread going on earlier. This is argued to be the most horrifying of the Metroids. I personally disagree. I would put Prime 1 at that list. But we'll see if I change my mind by the end of the day. So let's see here. So we've definitely got some atmosphere. Very good atmosphere. And music direction is the other big one. We'll have to see what we think of sound design. And I can already feel the viscerality. Just immediately. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to think about that. It sounds kind of like the one that they would end up using in Zero Mission, if I'm not mistaken. So the elevator's out. So, next best option. Listen, Other M is pretty horrifying. It's not that far. I mean, the little things in Prime really worked for me. For example, there's a tidbit where you find out that if you volunteer for phazon experimentation, you gain extra rations. It's a little thing, but it just kind of it says a lot without saying too much, right? Like it says a lot while speaking little, I think is how that phrase is supposed to go. Later on, we find out that they're actually growing wheat in phazon and then grinding that up into grain to make bread with. So you're actually ingesting the phazon directly rather than having it injected into you. So your system can process it because they're trying to find more ways to phazon infuse their people. That's horrifying, and I love it. And yeah, the phazon shrooms, which are actually in the game. Oh yeah, and then we got this thing. Forgot about that. Kinda, yeah. Paranoid Android. It's just... oof. And yeah, we do know that X can grab dead bodies and work with them. That will actually become a point later. Believe it or not. What is phazon? You ever played Command & Conquer, Ball? I know it's a weird way to go with that, but trust me on this. Okay, so you know what Tiberium is. Yeah, phazon is like Tiberium. There's actually quite a few different types of that. I can't even remember what it's called. Plutonium, I forget what it's called. But yeah, no, there's a concept in fiction where there's these magic crystals that are mutative and disruptive and dangerous and deadly, but very useful and very powerful. It's a really common trope. I'm almost positive that it comes out of the general desire, whoa there, to emulate things like nuclear power and other similar inventions in human history. Give me my missiles back. You notice that the corpses that are reanimated do not reanimate perfectly. Those used to be people, but they don't really look like people anymore. Yeah, red lyrium. That's actually, I should have thought of that. It's a much better example. Phazon is kind of like red lyrium. Well, by definition, Metroids are more dangerous than X-Parasites. Having said that, in lore, no, actually, X-Parasites are worse. One X-Parasite gets into an area, and that area is gone. Quickly, too. Oh no, it's Arachnus! Well, I wouldn't even know who that is, except for the fact that I've played like 3 versions of Metroid 2 over the last couple of days. Good morph ball. Woo. I believe this is the first game to introduce this tech, too. That little thing, where you can just jump right into a ball form. We've actually already played 2 separate games that have that tech, but they both came out after this. I'm not sure what I think of this music so far. I'm gonna have to chew on that. Yeah, what's weird is the X are, by all accounts, a natural creature. Natives. And yeah, I like the process. It's very it's very Metroid, but it's also very Mega Man. We beat a boss. All of the bosses in this game, with like one exception, I want to say, are X-Parasites. So, you know, we blow up the form that it's taking. We destroy the mimic, which forces it to break back down into its basic form. Then we have to break down the barrier that's protecting the core inside. Once we get to the core, we can absorb the core, and then we gain whatever power it had. So it's a very smooth, in-lore way to explain it. And once again ties into the using X-Parasites as power-ups thing. So, that's all kinds of cool. You know, that could actually be Pillars of Snow. So let's write down a couple of thoughts here. SR388, Ocean Gaming. Although, we don't know that for total certainty. Yeah, what pushed the X to evolve into, functionally, the frickin' Flood? Flood versus the X, who wins? Depends on if the Flood have evolved to the, what's it called? The tipping point. I can't remember what it's called. The critical mass. If Flood have reached the critical mass, the Flood win pretty much any engagement. If they haven't, the X, by all accounts, do not have parasites. However, and this is something that will be shown in this game and in a future game, the X are mimics. If an X actually mimics something which has a sufficient intelligence, it can and will operate in a similar manner to that intelligence it's emulating, simply by virtue of, at that point, functionally being a clone. I don't think they kind of intended that. I think that's more of a retcon thing, but there's still a few hints of that here, so who knows what they were intending when this game came out. X versus the Borg. No! No Borg versus questions. Next question. Good day, sir. I mean, you know me, I don't actually prefer 2D sprites or 3D graphics. I prefer good graphics. Having said that, I think this game does look better than Samus Returns. Like, already. It's sort of sad, but I stand by it. Let's go this way. Yeah, the colors are very good. And you can tell, you can literally tell this is the Super Team. Really? Now, there is a little bit of outlining going on, which was not in Super. That's probably because this is the GBA. And the GBA, well, they did that with everything on the GBA. Nothing else for that. Alright, let's go talk to Adam. Sup, Adam? What do you got for me? Samus, it's as I feared. The breeding environments have been invaded by X parasites. Sector 1, SRX, shows several abnormalities on biosensors. Sector 1 is a simulation of the SR-388 ecosystem. To get there, take the main elevator to the access shaft and use Elevator 1. I'm not sure, but I think that whoever allowed the X into the environment may also be linked to the earlier explosion. Maybe Ocean Gaming. Quite possible. I don't know. Oh! It's okay, it's not heat this time. You saw the frozen Ridley, right? Yeah, this is a weird one. So, I've heard several people decry this as not a Metroidvania, and instead a full-on, just platformer game. I have no particular opinion of that argument, but it is indicative of exactly how much more linear this game is. Because you have a hub, and then you go out, and then you go back to the hub, then you go to there, and then you go to hub. It also means there are certain points in the game which are actual points of no return, where you cannot go and get items if you did not get them all the last time around. Scene 1. So they demonstrate very quickly. She has screw attack, and she has super missiles. That is visual storytelling. That's a great scene. Now, that scene works a lot better if you're familiar with the series, because you see her in the Varia suit. And if you don't know what the Varia suit is, it doesn't pop, right? It doesn't work. And if you don't know what the super missiles are or the screw attack is, it's like, okay. But if you do... Great scene. Great scene. I imagine a lot of the story pluses are going to come directly from the SAX, scripted or no. Yep, that's right, Mr. Red. It stands for saxophone. And yeah, sorry, someone pointed out earlier, Monobret pointed it out. This game is structured very much like a Wario game. Go figure, it's almost like they've been making Wario games for the last 8 years before this. Really, Rex? Holy crap, you're joking. The main elevator leading to the access shaft has been severely damaged. It'll be totally unusable for some time. Fortunately, some unknown agent is at work. Something very powerful, certainly not human. I'll report when I know more. Now listen closely. The X and Sector 1 have invaded the atmospheric stabilizers. They must want to alter the environment to their needs. They are already reproducing. Clear all 5 atmospheric stabilizers to stop them. That really sucks. Like, if it was a missile, whatever, but E-tanks? I need E-tanks. Whatever. Let's go and recharge. Wom, 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 wom. Thank you. Interesting. This room demonstrates the fact that the X-Parasites can combine. That is exactly as bad as it sounds. So, someone asked if the X-Parasites have any intelligence. I don't know if I answered that out loud, because I'm trying to keep track of a lot of things at once, but for all intents and purposes, no. No more than the zombie plague would be intelligent. Any percent for fusion? Oh, geez. I'm gonna guess... Give me a sec. By the way, did you see that if you don't take out the X-Parasites after you kill an enemy, they then turn into another enemy? So there's another bit of tutorialization. I did answer. Yay! I'm gonna go with 44 minutes. So we've already got good tutorialization going on. 1 hour 10. That's actually longer than I thought. Makes sense, though. Now, here's the real question. What's the 0% record? Not the 0%. If you like this game, do yourself a favor and watch the 0% run sometime. It's stupid. In like a good way. One hour 17. Holy crap, that's gone down quite a bit since the last time I saw that. I may have to rewatch that. I think you're right, Yura. Which would make sense. This game was literally constructed at the same time, by the same people, as Zero Mission was. So a 0% run... So, okay. Metroid games are kind of unique in terms of speedrunning categories. Any percent is a generic category that applies to pretty much any game. And that is when all you care about is getting to the end of the game and nothing else matters. So however many items you get or how many enemies you beat or whatever level you reached, it doesn't matter. That's up to you. All that matters is reaching the end of the game, right? Thing is, in Metroid games, uniquely, you can challenge yourself to have less items than you think you need. In fact, you can go really far down in terms of how many items you have. Far fewer than you thought you needed. Thus, we have the concept of a low percent run, where the whole challenge of the run is trying to do it with as few items as is humanly possible. Thus, the 0% run, oh, I'm dead, is the ultimate expression of that. When you get absolutely nothing and still go and beat the game. Pirates! Pirates! Please heal me. 1% is an hour 14. 100% is hour 34. Wow. How would they know what the pirates are? Well, that's a good question. I should mention that at this point, canonically, the pirates are dead. Fusion is post-pirates. So the pirates as a polity are gone. Until they retcon that in Prime 4, I'm sure. Or whatever comes out next. Let's try not to do that. I'm a little low on health. Listen, you'll get your Ridley fight when you eat your vegetables. Dip in the lava. Did not do me any favors. How do we feel about the Beetle Eat? No. Really could use some health. Needs more health than that. Yes, they're spawning out of the atmospheric stabilizer I'm here to destroy. Oh, goodness no, Sugar. I'm nowhere near worth actually doing that. That's ridiculous. They have better things to do than to acknowledge my terrible times. Hence the concept of the awful percent. I mean, I actually developed my own route for Super. I'm sure it's terrible. I just kind of don't care. You know. What stopped you, Kira? Other games to play. Wait, there are other games? Other than The Messenger? I mean, that makes sense to me, Rex. I'm not gonna argue that. Could you not be a dick? Okay, apparently the answer is no. Okay, really, dude? Oh my god. Out of fire. That wall jump. Door RNG. You know what? Honestly, yeah. Some games are so precisely hyper-tuned that, yeah, a bit of RNG determines whether or not you get a world record or not, which is pretty common. Charge Beam. The best routed Metroid game? I mean, Super. I'm really good at Super. And I am trash compared to the people who are much better than me. I was actually wondering that, Dakota. Like, how are they... I mean, yeah, considering the Chozo statues are robots, it makes a degree of sense to me. Only a degree, though. All stabilizers online. Stabilizers configured. Splines reticulated. You know, I was thinking about it earlier, and you can make fun of me for this. Pretty much every single one of these games, except Other M, is a game that I wanted to replay, you know? Again, except for Other M, that's the exception. Come on, jump into it. Fine, do this. And yeah, that includes one with a huge caveat. If I could have gotten that mod, you know the one. The one I thought I got and failed at getting. God. See, now I gotta do this. That is interesting timing. I am not used to that at all. Wow. Correct here, which is, of course, part of the point. Please save. There we go. Please. Backup save over there. Yeah, a truly perfect Super Metroid run is probably the purview of the Tassers, who can manipulate the RNG into being what it needs to be. Okay, so is that it for the most part? That might be it, period. It's not quite like, say, Mario 1 speedrunning, which is a solved equation at this point. Yep, day saved. We did it. Cool. Let's head home. Grab a brewski. No, you're. I think I had enough of that with the review we did just a few months ago. Really, I still can't go through that. Got it. Nah. If I want to go replay an older Mario, I'll play Mario 3. Or world, or Yoshi, or you get it. Oh god, Turian. Yeah, that's just... it's awful, too. Atmospheric stabilizers online, but many X have already made it to other sectors, it seems. In particular, Sector 2, Tro, the tropical habitat, shows abnormalities. I suspect the X entered this sector with the help of our unseen saboteur. He or it may be in TRO now. Get over there. We need to put an end to this. I'll brief you at the TRO navigation room. Okay. I mean, are you familiar with Final Fantasy IX speedruns, Rex? As I listened to the briefing, my thoughts turned to Adam. The real Adam understood me well. He would end orders by saying, "Any objections, lady?" He knew I wouldn't disagree. That was just his way of noting our trust. I wonder if I can trust this computer, too. So, I think that is exactly what's happening, Dakota. Given we know that they propagate magically, you know, 1 becomes 2 becomes 10. That wouldn't surprise me. So, I need to look up something really quick. In FF9 speedruns, the third to last boss of the entire game has, I believe, a 1 in 9 chance of just killing your party, and there is nothing you can do about it. Third to last boss in the game. Look up how long FF9 speedruns are. Yeah, Death Gaze is correct. He can just cast Meteor, and that kills you. See you around, Dakota. Have a good one. Yeah, no, 1 in 9 is a surprisingly high chance. It's designed... It's similar to several other bosses in the FF series. Kefka does this as well, and so does Ultimecia in Aid, where they're designed to be a beefgate. It's designed to be something that, you know, tests your level. Do you have the gear necessary to be past this part? If you don't, then you die. Now, I'm not a big fan of that kind of design when it comes to RPGs, but if I can be completely honest, the main reason why is because I love low-level runs, and I love challenge runs in RPGs. And when you run into a beefgate, nothing you can do about it. It's a gear check. Boom, you fail, you're dead. Death Gaze isn't the worst of those, but it's certainly not a great one. There we go. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. No kidding, Ross. FF10 is actually rather infamous for being a low-level challenge run, which isn't actually all that hard until you get to Gagazeth. And then, die! Anyways, she does, Yura. It's definitely more animal, which is probably the intent they're trying to get across here. Exactly, Rex. You get it. You get it. Yeah, that's just awful. And the worst part, like, some runners will just go and grab the save. They'll just save, even though it loses time, and go for it. But if you're trying for a world record pace, you have to skip the save. And that means rolling the dice. Oops, you rolled a 1. You're dead. What was the name of the sector I was just in? Hang on a sec, hang on a sec. There's... What am I at? Where am I at? Oh, I can't move around on the map. We'll just call it Sector 1. That's easier. Okay. Onwards. Good night, Ocean Gaming. Have a good one. I'll be honest with you, Ross. I kind of do a low-level run in FF6 without even meaning to. That's not bragging, it's just my normal playstyle. Having said that, I don't think I'm ever going to beat the level 9 thing. That's just crazy. I have learned the identity of our mystery saboteur. Samus, it's an X mimicking you! I've named it the SAX. I believe the SAX came from the other capsule containing your infected suit parts. It used a power bomb, so now it has power bombs, to escape the quarantine bay. That explosion breached the capsules containing all the X that started this disaster. But the SAX is definitely our biggest worry right now. The SAX is mimicking you at full power. You cannot face it. If you see the SAX, just run. Don't think about fighting. You are still very vulnerable to cold, an unexpected side effect of the Metroid vaccine. Like Metroids, you can be frozen by an ice beam. Of course, the SAX is armored with the ice beam. If you see it, just run. HQ says they have the bomb data ready in the data room. Bombs will help you find a way out if the SAX traps you. Data room is here, but it's sealed by a level 1 hatch. You'll have to find the security room and release the level 1 locks. But per safety protocols, it's not marked on the map. You'll have to find it on your own somehow. So find the security room, unlock level 1 hatches, go to the data room, get that bomb data. Keep it on for the SAX. Oh, nice, Ross. That's crazy. Save really quick. I believe the thumbs up thing showed up in other M, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, don't worry. I'm definitely the real lore. You can tell because my eyes are white. Interesting. Nope. No pull in, little Billy. As weird as it's going to sound, maybe this is just because I just finished Samus Returns, which is excessively long and padded, but I really like how tight and quick most of the levels have been so far here. Like Sector 1, and we're done. Like 30 minutes, boom. I know, Ross. I couldn't have planned that. Which I should know, because I didn't. I think it's a better take on what they did in Other M, which I suppose is saying, like... It's like saying, yeah, this food I just got is better than the trash that I picked up out of the garbage can yesterday. But I stand by it. Yay, blue hatches now active, finally. Frickin' Federation, or rather, Evil Federation. I do like how the doors flash if you have access to them. A nice little bit of visual storytelling, or visual distinction, excuse me. On Friday? I mean, Super's not going to take us a long time, and frankly, I don't think Fusion is either. So, if we're not playing Dread, then we'll be playing Republic Commando, because Dread's not a super long game either. But I don't think we'll finish the entire Metroid series by Friday, especially since I'm deliberately kind of not trying to rush this. This is on the Game Boy Advance, Blade to Ball. As both the visuals and audio give away immediately, because holy crap. What is our shortest so far? I'll have to double check that. I have a feeling Super will actually be the shortest. I'm not sure I can avoid that. Yeah, next week we will... I'm not 100% sure how long Republic Commando will take us, but it's a relatively short game too, so... I'm pretty sure that by Monday we will go ahead and be actually hitting up the Zeldas. And let me tell you, that's going to be a trip. I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. No, actually, Blade to Ball. I was worried about that too, for the same reason I was in Zero Mission, but so far they did a pretty decent job of it. Fourth ball. That is actually possible, Rex. We're not going to 100%, of course, but we are going to try and do as many of the trials as we can. Why wasn't Super the third game we're playing, Little Billy? Oh, that's a lot shorter than I thought it was before. I'm already missing the button. Uh-oh. So the only reason I haven't answered that question is I'm verifying that that was the question Little Billy was asking. But yes, if that is the question you're asking, the answer is very simple. Save the best for last. If you're asking why is it Super Metroid called Metroid 3, it actually is. Right in the title screen, in the exact same way Fusion was. So this is after Super. At least a little bit of time after Super. We're not sure of the exact specifics, because, you know, timelines are vague, yo. But the overall timeline goes 1, prime, 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 2, then Super, which is, like, days after 2. It's the only one that's immediately after a previous one. After Super, there's a gap, and then there's Fusion. Well, no, that's not true. After Super... Yura infected me! M. After Super is other M. Then Fusion. Then Dread. The biggest gap here, ironically, in lore, is probably the gap in between 1 and 2. Enough time for the Prime series to happen, which may include Prime 4. We have no idea what they're doing Prime 4 timeline-wise, so who knows on that one. What'd you think of it, Rex? I would not like to forget other M or Super. I prefer knowing than not. Blind runs are their own thing, and they're certainly enjoyable, but I'll always prefer a familiar run or a veteran run to a blind run. I have proven to myself many, many times recently, actually, that even when I've seen something for the 50th time, it still hits just as hard. If it's good, right? Like, if it's something that's going to hit. I proved that with Lufia 2 not too long ago. And I actually proved that with Super. Just a few months ago when I was doing that private lore run for Super. I'm really hopeful that we'll get some kind of behind-the-scenes info on Prime 4 after it's come out. Because, like, that's got to be a story, right? Reminder that Prime 4 was announced when Samus Returns was announced. Think about that for a minute. You can diagonally shoot, not quite as smoothly as in the previous games. But you can tap L, which gives you a diagonal shoot. You can also just do it manually like this. Well, that's a good question, Noctis. Again, this is more of a Wario game than anything else. I know it probably doesn't look like it because you're not the one on the controls, and I understand that completely. But trust me when I say, speaking as someone who's been playing Metroid for the last, several days, about a week at this point, this plays completely different to every other entry I've been playing, except for Zero Mission. For obvious reasons. Yep, we're soft locked. Sorry, game's over. Game's over. Otto's in his like, wah! Take it. I'm getting worried. I have only gotten 2 E-tanks so far. I know I've missed at least one. Hey, Blue Wolf Alex. No, I believe you. I'll be honest, I'm not sure why, Blue Wolf Alex, but I believe you. I mean, I loathe coffee, so what the hell do I know? Gives me headaches. Yeah, no, this is the one I feel like is pretty much the most divisive. Emphasis on divisive. Because everybody hates Other M. Like, even people who defend that game just say it's not as bad as people say, as opposed to it being, actually good. Yeah, I don't save. But yeah, I've heard people enjoy and defend every Metroid game. Except Other M. And dislike every Metroid game. So, no surprise to me. A little bit more grokey here. At least we got an E-tank. Thank God. Yeah, I've heard people defend one. I think those people are completely insane. I mean, very, very rational, intelligent people who enjoys their... I'm sorry. Is there a game I've not heard people defend? I've never heard anyone defend Right Hell Retribution. Seriously, I've never heard one dip into that. Listen, nobody likes Voyager. Don't be silly. You'd have to, like, be crazy to spend several years of your life covering every Voyager episode one by one. Could you imagine? Do they actually expect me to wall jump out of here? Okay. Whatever, we'll do it. What do you mean with not mess with Federation Builder? Because, like, you know me, or rather, you probably don't know me at all, but there's no sacred cows. Like, if I'm willing to completely rewrite Final Fantasy VI, there's nothing sacred, you know what I mean? I got so made fun of for that, Ross, back when that video actually went live. Yeah, okay, this is... Nope. Just get out of here. Hey, Ramble. I am doing as best as I can. I am trying the new elastic schedule, which is why I started an hour late today, because I was literally just asleep. But it seems to be working. People say my health is getting better and my energy is definitely higher. Like, by the end of the Pokemon Arceus stream, I was just pushing to get through each shift. I was not doing well. So, ooh. Speaking of which, I do want to once again say thank you to all of you for being the reason that I can have an elastic schedule. If I was working a normal job right now, I probably couldn't. I'd go to my boss and be like, "Hey, boss, listen, I have fatigue issues," and the boss would be like, "That's cool, you're fired." No, what the boss would say would be like, "Okay, I understand," and then later on, they'd either make my job worse and worse and worse until I quit, or they would just, you know, slowly phase me out, delete my job. Have I ever rewritten something I think is worse than the original? As of this moment in time, no. But that's cheap right now, because the only things that have actually been produced in terms of the rewrites are Diablo, Final Fantasy 1, and Final Fantasy 2. Well, I've also started doing something else on the advice of my sister. And we'll see how that works. I'm taking iron supplements, because there is a small but existent amount of anemia that exists in my bloodline. Genetically predisposed, whatever that's called. Can I not? I cannot. Locked in. You know, that's fair, Huthor. If I rewrote something and it was worse, then I would keep rewriting it to make it better. I mean, obviously, the point of a rewrite is not to make something better, really. The point of a rewrite is to make something that's mine. I know that sounds like a weird statement, but it's true. A lot of people think the rewrites are there for me to fix things, when, truth be told, I just kind of want to do my own take on the story, you know? That's why I'm willing to rewrite stories that are already good. Having said that, there are some stories that could use some touching up, if you know what I mean. I don't know where to go here. You're welcome, memory. I do hope I've been at least a little bit enjoyable. Rewrite 13.3. Alright, hear me out. Rants! I mean, that's the stage we're at right now, Noctis. Bomb everything. So we're gonna do that. Watch me, Ross! Okay, rewrite Rise of Skywalker, but keep light speed skipping and make it not stupid. Alright, I've got it. So, they're light speed skipping, right? And yeah, we're gonna make it! We're gonna make it! And then the camera, like, slowly pans out, and he's just absolutely out of his mind on drugs. He's tripping, right? He's like, the light speed skip to get away. Woo. And then it cuts to the person who's actually in the seat, who I guess in this case would be Chewie, who's just like, whap. And then he actually gets them away. The end. There you go. Done. Oh, well, that would explain it, Rex. So, I'm here now. I definitely couldn't wall jump out of here. And yeah, I get that all the time whenever I was doing, like, the rewrite discussion streams. Like, one of the most common things is, why are you rewriting, you know, insert such and such, perfectly good as it is? And you get that automatic implication of, you know, it's a fix-fic. And it's like, well, no. Hey, there we go. Door RNG, woo! Door RNG. Door RNG. Door RNG. Door RNG. Oh, there we go. God dang it. Door RNG. Okay, ham. Thank you for all coming to my door RNG. Door RNGing all day. Although that sounds vaguely lewd, so maybe I won't be doing that. That's an interesting question, Yura. I imagine it's because you hate me and everything about me, and that's perfectly acceptable. But I don't think that's niche. I think that's more like the commonality. I think most people hate me and everything about me. So what do you got? What do you turn into? What the hell is this? I imagine it's because it's not actually a game, because it kind of can't be, because I don't have the physical ability to make the game. I have played several Bionic Commandos Ren 36. Including the one where, and I'm never going to stop spoiling this, it turns out his bionic arm is actually his wife. And yes, that's a huge spoiler, and no, I don't care, it's so stupid. It deserves to be spoiled. I mean, I swear it's a masturbation joke, but I don't think it was intended as one. Oh wow, that's a huge iframes. I didn't even realize that's what was going on there. Several seconds of iframes. High jump! So... It's so bad, DVD. The general idea is that the only way to get the cybernetic components to work is for it to have a high degree of compatibility with the host. So when his wife died, her mind was put into this cybernetic thing, which was then put into his freaking arm. And... I don't even know what to add to that. It's really, it's not even a well presented twist. It's just, huh? Now, if that was like a silly game, that might have worked. Like, imagine it's just his wife. You know, no tragic backstory, no death. No, it's just, honey, have you picked up milk? Oh, yeah, no, I'm gonna... No, don't lie to me! I'm not carrying the bag right now! No, listen, honey, I'm gonna go get milk soon. I refuse to grapple up to that platform. Honey, I'm in the middle of fighting a giant mecha with a rocket launcher. Then go get the milk! Anyways, thank you, Ramble. I do appreciate the bits. I apologize for taking way too long to answer you. If you want to put those towards up to 3 things, please let me know. I'm telling you, it could work if they leaned into it. Sorry, so Blue of Alex has to quit. A game that's otherwise fine but completely ruined by the outro. What? Lore's Choice. You got it. Thank you. Let me think about that for a minute, because honestly, that's just kind of a subtrope of Sunshine Syndrome. These are all dead. That's interesting. And terrifying. Listen, Yura! All I'm saying... A lot of dead things now. And about to be me. Have you noticed how the game already tries to make backtracking interesting? Hello? Yeah, again, dread. I love it. I love it. Okay, so let me think about that, because specifically a game that was solid until the outro, and the outro actually ruined everything. That's tricky. But I actually do have an answer for you that is not Mass Effect 3, believe it or not. Star Ocean 3. Now, I'm not going to spoil why, but if you played Star Ocean 3, you know immediately what I'm referencing. That ruined not only that game, but the entire franchise for me. I have actually never been back. I own the remakes of Star Ocean 1 and 2 on the PSP. I've never played them, because Star Ocean 3 completely ruined my ability to enjoy the franchise. I have never played 4 or 5, and I think 6 is the latest one, because of Star Ocean 3. Actually, yes, Mr. Red. Yes, it did. Yeah, they really like the giant cicadas and their platforms. And once again, good backtracking, because now terrain is different. The literal area we're going through is different because they have changed it. Backtracking. I cannot say anything nice about Chrono Cross, and because it is such a beloved game, I don't want to talk about that. So I'll save that for when we go through it. I know, right, Rex? Here's the map! No. High jump. Blue Fusion Bolt. We got high jump. Honestly, Stormwind. Both musically and visually. Having said that, Orgrimmar is better from a gameplay perspective. Although Stormwind has one good spot from a gameplay perspective. Damn it, Makarov. Samus, we've got trouble. Releasing the security lock may have been a bad idea. The SAX has invaded the water environment in Sector 4. Aqua. with several thousand X. With the blue hatches active, the SAX slipped in easily. The creatures and systems in Sector 4 are already showing multiple irregularities. I'm currently investigating. I'll brief you in the navigation room when you arrive. My favorite city in all of WoW? I mean, the only possible answer to that is Suramar. The SAX, an enemy with my strongest abilities, but does it have any reason? Probably not. It's just a killing machine. In my current state, I can't face it head-on. The SAX is me, only heartless. I must stop it before it learns its potential and threatens the universe. Dun dun dun! Sorry. I actually agree with you on that completely, Blowf Alex. The intro is way too wordy, and literally repeats itself. And it's such a shame, because this very same game has absolutely no problems doing visual storytelling without a single line of dialogue. So it's like I said, you can really see where Other M came from here. Boing. This sector has taken more damage than expected. I knew the X were powerful and destructive, but still. Seems to be purposeful. We certainly can't rule out the possibility the SAX has a high degree of intelligence. I find the X fascinating, especially this SAX. But I digress. This sector is home to a very large creature. The researchers called Ceres. It is capable of moving and attacking at ultra-high speeds. The more senseless and widespread destruction here may be attributed to Ceres. No doubt the SAX released it, but I can't be sure why yet. Ceres has returned often to the breeding tank here. Its natural behavior must be to go back to it periodically. It's a valuable specimen, but you have been authorized to terminate it. If you don't, it may invade other sectors. While you're moving, be careful. Some broken power nodes have electrified the water, but we can't cut the power. Doing so would affect the whole station adversely. If you touch the water, you'll be electrocuted. Conserve energy as you go. We have been authorized. If I have to pick one of the playable cities, other than just, Suramar, it's actually really tough. Because the city I can't think of the name of in Dragonflight, and Borealis, and Zuldazar. Yeah, Valdrakken, Borealis, and Zuldazar are all really good. Like, really good. From both axes, no less. But if I'm being completely honest, my favorite city in the game is probably still Dalaran. Legion-era Dalaran, specifically. More doodads and more people in Legion era. The NPC set dressing in Legion is really good. And in Wrath, it's fine. Yeah, the big building in the middle is a bit different. There's a couple of other little details. Definitely intended here. I hate wall jumping in this one. My goodness. Maybe I should stop doing it. A lot of why I like Dalaran so much boils down to gameplay. Dalaran is almost a perfect city from a purely gameplay perspective. Everything is very close to everything else. It is very well signified and highlighted. Even without looking at the map, you can tell where you're going and what you need in seconds in Dalaran. It's great. I love it. It's also small, which is very helpful from a gameplay perspective. Cuts down on adding time. That's what I thought. Having said that, here's a one for you. Worst WoW city. Of the playable cities, let's say. Oh, I love Thunderbolt. I actually like all the cities to some extent or another. Yeah, the shrines in Pandaria are also pretty good capital cities. In fact, my warrior was hearthed there for an extremely long time. In fact, that only changed like 2 months ago when she finally hearthed in Veldraken. Okay, so hang on. Second worst capital city, because Exodar is just way too easy of an answer. I never finished answering Blue Elf Alex's question. Hang on. Sorry, Blue Elf Alex, I'm stupid. A game that's fine until the outro that isn't Star Ocean 3. I had another one off the tip of my tongue, and I can't think of it. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, Ouroboros. I agree with that. I was not a big fan of Ouroboros on either axis. Nothing we've reviewed qualifies, other than, obviously, Mass Effect 3. I know that, because I checked the outros recently. You know, this doesn't quite qualify, Blue Felix, but hear me out for a second. Ninja Gaiden 1. Ninja Gaiden 1, it certainly starts becoming mean before 6.2. But the moment you hit 6.2, that game just goes from being, to what in the goddamn hell were you thinking? For those of you not familiar with it, I want you to imagine a very unfairly difficult NES game, which came up with the concept we now call Ninja Gaiden Respawns. And I want you to imagine that there's a very lengthy, brutal, difficult stage, followed by multiple boss fights in a row. If you die at any point in any of that, you go all the way back to the beginning of the stage. I have no idea how I ever beat that game. Twice, actually, without save states. Once as a kid, and once, on camera, because during the Then and Now series. The bounce is weird on this one. I'm sorry, Yura. Yeah, sorry. To be very clear, I don't mean like game overing, like most games do. I mean if you die at all. Back to the beginning of the stage. I should also mention that Ninja Gaiden in general is not very, it's not a very easy game to gain health back in. So you have to very carefully manage your health pool across the entire stage and the final bosses. And the actual final boss, the final boss, is designed to sap your health. It's designed to be undodgeable. Now, it is dodgeable, but that's only because, they screwed up their own programming. Oh, screw that game. Now, having said that, I do agree with what I think you implied there, Blowfelix. Narratively, I actually kind of like Ninja Gaiden 1's ending. And the outro. Yakio and his whole thing. I don't know, I was with it. Was my first emulator experience pleasant? First time emulator experience was wild. It was this emulator you've probably never heard of. Nesticle. Thank you, King Lator. Appreciate this up. Thank you. If you want to put that towards up to 3 upcoming streams to increase their interest, please let me know. Yeah, I hate the name, too. I didn't even realize it was a pun for a while because it's me. Crude joke, I don't know what to call that. But Nesticle was functional, I think, is the word I want to use. It's actually funny, because I was sufficiently familiar with several NES games that when I started encountering irregularities, I thought my memory was bad. Because it hadn't occurred to me at the time that the emulator might literally be incapable of emulating accurately. Oh, that's an interesting question. So let's flip the question. Also, I think... Okay, there's the bot. So a game where the game was just kind of or bad until you played the outro, and then I was like, ooh. Okay, can I get out of here normally? Yes, okay, good. What, Silvermoon, Huthor? Because let's be honest, the actual worst WoW city is Silvermoon. Gameplay and story-wise. Ooh. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Oh, God, I'm dead. Okay, okay. I'm not dead. Somehow. Although, I might be locked in. I am locked in. Okay, so my big idea for backtracking is wrong. I'm pretty sure I could wall jump or bomb jump that, but again, that's sequence breaking, and I'm trying not to do that. Silvermoon's aesthetics are fine, but its layout is trash. It still has... It hasn't been updated since BC, so it still looks like the Scourge just came rampaging through, which at this point canonically is like 15 years ago? I don't remember. No, it's actually 20 years now, isn't it? Because we had a time skip. We had our second time skip. But also, regardless of all of that, the texture resolution is so bad, it kind of hurts my eyes going through Silvermoon, especially when you get close to stuff. It very much has the vanilla look to it. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. You got it. Now remember, you can pick 3 things, King Lator, if you want to. See, I didn't like the low texture stuff back then, so that's probably where my mind is coming from on that. Again, it's the blurry thing. It bothers my eyes. Already been over here. This definitely wasn't it. So, where do you want me to go, game? That was a bomb jump, so I shouldn't even be up here. I'll be honest, it didn't even occur to me to count that, Huthor, which I suppose just sort of makes your point for you. You know, it feels weird. I'm not full health yet. I mean, I know it's been a minute and I was in the lightning, but like, I've been picking up health ups for quite a minute here, and I am not full yet. Ooh. A lot of my characters are Blood Elves, so don't mistake me on that point. I actually even like questing there, although that might be a bit of fondness for the story aspect talking there, because, I mean, it's BC questing, you know. We'll see it soon enough. It's one of the first things we're going to do during the WoW run. So I can't backtrack. I can't get there at all without wall jumping. And down there is electrified water. Where am I supposed to go? It's the first time I've had that thought. A semi-common problem in Metroid games. Yes and no, Hephaestus. Basically, it's going to be a, you know, within reason, use your head, general decency and respect kind of thing. But yes is generally the answer, especially since we do want to experience as many of the dungeons accurately as possible. I don't think I have one, Federation Builder. Just whatever strikes me at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to pull up a map. I don't know where to go. Ooh, that's a good pick, Blue Alex. I like that pick. Which sector are we in here? 4. Okay, up on green? Okay, sure, let's try that then. Let's see what extremely obvious thing I missed. Because it's always something obvious, every single time. Like, hey, dumbass. It's a giant neon sign saying, go this way. And I'm like, who? That did. Wrong way. Yeah, remember this room. I mean, that is an awesome fight, Blue Alex, so I can't argue that, really. Alright, where's the glaringly obvious thing? You ever wonder if the Metroids heal off of eating SAX, or SAX, of eating X's as well? Random thought. Oh, cute. Okay. So what story would I go for as making a WoW film? Important question. Do I get to make more than one? Only one. I mean, the story of Arthas is the only answer then. It's the closest thing to a primary MSQ that the series has ever had. Other than the conflict with the Legion, which can't be told in the space of a single movie. So, there you go. Fall of Arthas. It's actually funny, because one of my least favorite parts about Metroid 1 is randomly bombing walls to progress. The day Deathwing came as a movie, Little Billy. Well, I'm sure whatever that was is no longer an issue. Move on. What do you mean, Uthor? First of all, movies have... Oh, God. Time skips all the time. No pun intended. Perfect RNG. I don't remember that line, no, Zach, that, but I believe you. Oh, this guy. Another RNG boss, if I'm remembering correctly. You can tell he's gonna give us the booster, because, you know, that's what's happening right now. Reflex is just not here right now. Dang it. No, I think I can make that work, Uthor. Literally one transitionary shot with a bit of narration would make it work, I think. Oh god. Oh god. Give me my health! No! Didn't get my health. Now, that's not a bikini. At least she's not nude, right? Points if you get it. Which none of you will. Watch, I'm gonna get terrible RNG in the damn door this time. What do you want to bet? Yep. I need help for this boss, too. I guess we'll just disagree on that one, Huthor. I think that would work just fine. Like, I don't have a better way to phrase this, but if the focus is on Arthas and not the events of Warcraft 3, I don't see any problem just kind of transitioning over some of those events when they don't matter to him and his story. Again, I was told to make one movie focused on one story, so I picked Arthas, so we're not covering Warcraft 3. There's no need to cover the events of the Third War because they're not part of his story. Make sense? It's just... God damn it. Yeah, Arthas never meets Thrall, who is arguably the main character of Warcraft. Insert your favorite Metzen joke here, they're all good. Yeah, that sounds about right, Gum Gum. My uncle's dying right now. Cancer, specifically. It's okay, it happens. I mean, it sucks. But I'm pretty much at the any day stage right now, if you know what that stage is. I'm just going to disagree on that point, Uthor. Especially since you could just brush over the Archimonde thing in general. Having said that, if we were to rewrite it, what I'd probably do is I'd transition from Silvermoon directly to the events of Frozen Throne. I mean, considering I hate the Scouring of the Shire, I'm fully in favor of that concept. Now I'm down here. Everything, I think, is the answer. Like, I get what he was going for. I've even read his interviews on why the Scouring was so essential. I just disagree with him. I'm allowed to disagree with Tolkien. Oh my god, heal me! Yeah, it's like, congratulations, you did it, you won the day. Everything's cool forever. Also, screw you. Everything sucks. Die in a fire. That's the Scouring of a Shire in a nutshell. It's just petty. And it's spiteful. He was primarily inspired by what happened to him as he returned home from the Great War. And how everything was awful as a result of that. And that's neat and all. But, that's not what I like, I don't care, for lack of a better way to put that. I have no better way to put that. I don't care if it's realistic that you come home and things aren't better after you beat the final boss. Okay. Yeah, I figured you would love the Scouring of the Shire, because of course, something I consider to be one of the biggest mistakes in all of literature is something you would like. How do I shine spark? Sure, whatever. We'll do that, I guess. I'm probably gonna need to know how to shine spark at some point. Whatever. Oh, whatever. And yes, obviously we are Euro. There's extraordinarily little content in the WoW review that we're not covering. Mostly like events, special things. You know, we're not covering the Battle for the Undercity because it's effectively impossible. It is now physically. It is once again physically impossible to do that. We are not going to be covering any holidays. We're not going to be covering Plunderstorm. We're not going to be covering the upcoming Pandaria remix. Okay. So we're still locked in on the right. So that means we still have to go left, by design. Curious why you don't like the Death Knight starter zone here. Certainly it's out of date and it's got Wrath questing problems, but I'm curious what you don't like about it. I do agree that it drags. Like I said, it's a Wrath zone. So, ask Kuthor. He could probably help you out, Federation Build. Okay, that's a nice touch. I was wondering if they would. As it lowered below the electrical cables, it stopped being electric water and just started being regular water. See you around, Ramble. Hope to see you tomorrow when we continue to play this. We might even beat this game tomorrow. Fusion's not a super long game. That's another thing. I hate Tom Bombadil so goddamn much. Ugh. If there's one thing I could just erase from the Lord of the Rings canon, it would be Tom Bombadil. Well, first of all, Tom Bombadil sucks. That's very important. But more to the point. That's hilarious, Rex. He's... Tom Bombadil is silly, first of all, in a way that isn't endearing and instead just makes him come across like an asshole. He's that particular brand of above it all, which is irritating. You know the type because you've probably seen it in real life, never mind in fiction. The kind of insufferably smug asshole who just does not give a crap about anything. And that's the first step, right? That's the first sin. Then there's the fact that he won't stop screwing around because he didn't care about anything because of the aforementioned assholery. Like, I just... Could you stop talking in rhyme for like 5 seconds? God damn it! But then there's the fact that he has really no place in the books, and especially in the movies. Now, I know that people are going to argue with me on this because I've already had this argument many times in my life, but I would argue he serves no real purpose in the narrative. The greatest possible purpose he could serve is by indicating the greater world outside of the story, which is fine if they didn't have, like, an entire section devoted to him being an asshole. Oh, I can just go behind these, okay. Okay. Yeah, he's also generally childish, which is not a great way to endear you to me. Nice music. Take all of my opinions with a grain of salt. I don't like the books, remember? So, after all, the books contain both the Scouring and Tom Bombadil. It's a lose-lose situation there. Yeah, we're gonna call this, we'll come back later. Or, okay, yeah. And that requires a different weapon, so that's all a nope. Could you not, please? Could you not? Could you not be there, please? Whatever you are that you're immune to missiles and power bombs and everything else. Let's get a refill while we're right here. No, Tom Bombadil isn't in the movies at all. Thank God. Actually, real story. So I was playing Lotro once, when Lotro first came out. And we got to the part in the Breelands where Tom Bombadil shows up. And the thing I remember the most about that by far was being confused about who he was. Because I had so shoved Tom out of my memory that I forgot that he existed. And as he started May, Harry Doe, Molly Dooing around the quest, I was like, oh God! So Ceres has been affected by the S2. Well, as a result, you recovered another ability. At this rate, you may not be able to face the SAX yet, but that's still a ways off. HQ has more support data. This time it's missile upgrades. You desperately need this, but the data room here is sealed with a level 4 lock, the highest security level. Let's avoid opening sensitive areas until it's necessary. Also, the route to the data room in Sector 2 is blocked by still more SAX activity. I note a deliberate activity pattern, as if it's blocking your recovery intentionally. Samus, it looks like your best option for this download is in Sector 3. You'll find PYR data room on your map after you use the navigation room there. Cool. So it really does want us to backtrack. Okay, cool. I suppose I should have called that. I mean, it should probably be obvious I don't agree with Huthor about basically anything ever. However, I could see the argument that Tom Bombadil serves as a purpose in explaining what and how the ring operates, because by sheer virtue of simply being Tom Bombadil, he doesn't give a crap about the damn thing. Immune to it, but also by virtue of being immune, can't defeat it. Favorite fantasy book? I've never read one I liked. Or wanted to read a second time. I really thought about that, but yeah. Thankfully, the X have not invaded this area yet. The data room here is sealed by another security hatch. To download, you must find the security room and activate level 2 hatches. Oh, so it's going to be green doors. This may allow the SAX and X parasites in the area, but we are left with no choice. Your recovery is our main goal. The data room is here. As I explained, security rooms can't be shown on the map. Be careful. You'll see very violent organisms here, and avoid the ultra-heated areas. Your suit cannot take such high temperatures yet, but we're working on it. Yep. Repeat. Okay, here we go. I'm aware of Elric, but no is the answer. As in, no, I haven't read it. No, I don't like it. I mean, I've thought about it over the years. I think I just don't like fantasy as a genre. I could be wrong. It could just be me wild guesstimating. But, like, you're probably thinking, well, what about Final Fantasy? You mean the sci-fi series? That's been sci-fi since FF1? Yeah, WoW is absolutely sci-fi, by the way. I will die on that hill. Screaming. Terry Pratchett? That's actually a tough one. I'm not sure. So, people define sci-fi and fantasy differently. For me, it's more like an ephemeral nature of the construction of the setting is what really defines sci-fi to fantasy for me. Primus is absolutely a sci-fi setting. If your setting is supremely fantastical, it doesn't have planets, or gravity operates differently, or it's dimensionally shaped, maybe your universe sits on the back of a turtle, maybe everything is composed of different elemental aspects of magic, right? And atoms don't exist. That's fantasy, because the general rules of the setting are fantastical by their very nature, whereas sci-fi is more grounded in things that we consider to be actual real-life concepts, like physics and solar systems and the speed of light, right? Those are science concepts taken in a fictional sense. Science fiction. Now, that's obviously really malleable, and there's a lot of in-between room in between the two. Duh, right? Yeah, FF14 is fantasy, exactly. Which is why I don't actually dislike fantasy, obviously, because I can name several fantasy works I do enjoy. It's just not amongst the novel category. But yeah, FF14 is absolutely a fantasy, whereas WoW is absolutely science fiction. And by the definitions that I have laid forth, I should probably mention that those definitions are functionally useless and irrelevant. I actually only thought that whole thing up I just mentioned because I was bored one day while waiting in the car on a particularly long car ride. 1 second. It is the second one, but I made it anyways. Or did I? Or not. Hey, this is exactly what I wanted. Give me access to green doors, please. Oh. Having said that, if I'm not being clear, jokes aside, I don't think I actually care whether something is sci-fi or fantasy or pink or purple or blue. You know, I don't... It doesn't matter, right? Ooh, okay. I love how the moment we open the doors, the X-Parasite gets in, by the way. Did you catch that? The moment we open it. Boom! Parasites. Fuel. Oh, those guys are a bit worse than I remember. Having said that, I have written exactly one fantasy work in my entire life. Starfield talks. Damn it, Lord Harriman. Can anyone guess the one and only fantasy story I have ever written in my life? Might be the last one. It was literally done as like an exercise. I wanted to prove that I could write fantasy, and I could prove that I could write something that isn't just sci-fi grounded. See you around, Noctis. Have a good one. The extent is, of course, the wrong answer. The Mega Man story, yes! It's, no, Diablo Rewrite. The Diablo Rewrite. The Diablo Rewrite is very fundamentally fantastical. The very nature of the setting is such that there's these 4 pillars at the 4 corners of existence, and each one represents a fundamental aspect of existence. Good, evil, order, and chaos. And everything is kind of interwoven between these in what I call the fabric. And the fabric is kind of pulled taut across these 4 pillars. And that's where all of existence exists. And so there's no planet, there's no physics, there's no gravity, there's just that. Right, let's write down something else too. That's an interesting question, Lord Harriman. I stand by what I said. It doesn't really matter. But if you put a gun to my head... First of all, why are you putting a gun to my head? Are the pillars physical spots you can go to? Yes. Is there an edge of the map? Yes. Will you be destroyed and broken down to your composite... I don't want to say particles. I need another word. The things that make you up the moment you go out to the edges? Yes. The closer you get to the outside, the more it breaks you down. And if you actually essentially fall... No, there's no atoms. Atoms don't exist. The moment you fall over the edge of the map, you will immediately be grabbed by the gravity of the pillar and pulled into it and then broken down into whatever it is that makes up you. I never came up with a word for it because it doesn't matter. And you will be cessated, utterly and completely destroyed. So don't do that. It's a good way to commit suicide, though. Just do, and you're gone. The whole point of the Diablo Rewrite story is that Sanctuary is exactly in the middle of the 4 pillars. It's the first plane to grow on the fabric in the very center. Everything else is at one different point or another, comprising of different perspectives, different percentages of each of the 4 pillars. But only Sanctuary was right in the middle. And that's what allows the events of the story to happen. Is anyone big and strong enough to divide the boundary? Nope. Insta-death. It's not even death, it's erasure. Or I guess recycling might be a better word for it. Yeah, if we're counting Frozen Throne, the moment they, well, let me think about that. I could see an argument for Warcraft 3 by itself being called fantasy. I would actually still argue against that. Azeroth is still a planet that exists in a solar system, that has a sun, that they orbit. It's not something that comes up often, but it is a thing. I mean, that's ignoring the fact that there's a lot of tech in the thing. That's kind of a separate thing. I would still say that Warcraft 3 could be argued to be either. But yeah, the extant is firmly in the sci-fi category of things. I think we'll sit there. Oops. Where are we at right now? We're in Sector 3. So we just did Sector 4. Well, hang on. So we can't... Yeah, the moment your character can say, we've been to space, yo. Probably left fantasy. Not necessarily, but probably. You know, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a game that has a concept that could absolutely be qualified as fairly fantasy. And I'm not going to say what the game is. I almost just said it. God, stop screwing up, Laura. But the idea is, instead of there being planets and systems and space and a galaxy, instead it's all a pillar. And each planet is just a flat plane that exists on another level of the pillar. And the further up you go, well, there's no further up you go. It's different stuff, right? So you just find different stuff as you go up or down the pillar. Most people aren't even aware of the fact that there are other layers on the pillar, because there's no real coordination or interaction between the layers. Unless, of course, you do know they're there, and you can figure out a way to go up or down. And that forms the major plot of that particular game. That's fantasy. I have, in fact, done a rumination on that game. I mean, I stand by what I've said several times now. I think the distinction between the two is irrelevant. As Blue of Alex... Oh, it's okay with Thor, hit me all you want. As Blue of Alex so accurately pointed out, the distinction between sci-fi and fantasy is so blurry that it could be argued it doesn't exist at all. That there really is no fundamental difference between sci-fi or fantasy. That it's just ways that we qualify things. It's like people who think an RPG is something that has stats, right? That's just such a surface-level definition of what makes up an RPG that it doesn't really have any meaning at that point. This is absolutely bomb jumping, but whatever. Oh, come on! I even made it. Oh, well, whatever. I'm not sure where to go. Again. Am I just this stupid? Is this what this is? Don't answer, Huthor. Like, this is clearly where it wants me to go. Admittedly, in my head, I tend to think of such stories as either planetary or dimensional, and I know that's not really sci-fi or fantasy, but it is an interesting distinction. Because, again, if physics literally operate differently, then that can inform your setting, right? That can inform your storytelling. FF14 is a perfect example of that. Ether, being the building blocks of all matter, actually it's a plot point, it's a character point, and it's a setting point multiple times. So there's a reason why that's relevant, as opposed to just being a vague definition that doesn't really mean anything. Now, this is funny because FF14 is actually planetary, but you get the point. I give up. I give up. Where's the map? Where's the map? The room before this one. Okay. I got this. I got this. And I am really stupid. Yeah, I noticed the pipe. Yeah, I think Zero Mission did this overall concept of exploration a little bit better. And I know Super did. Really? What about them, Federation Builder? Whoa, there we go. Action adventure. Also known as the most generic and, excuse me, the second most generic and useless genre title that exists. Can't forget, oh god, I don't remember what it's called. The one that they all say, no, Federation Builder. That, like, Dishonored exists within, and System Shock. Actually, the elements don't make up everything, Federation Builder. Sorry to spoil that for you. Immersive sim. That's the term. I hate that phrase. I refuse to use that genre for anything, because it is the worst genre name that exists. And I'm including action-adventure in that nonsense. Oh, I'm also never going to call the game I'm playing right now a search action game. Just while we're on the subject. A little more spite in that one, I'll be honest. I'm also never going to call it an Egavania. Because I don't feel like pushing his Egovania. Looks like someone's been through here. So, like, there's no real standardized rule set, Blue Felix? That makes sense. Not that I'm aware of, Rain 36. Character action. Steam genres, choices matter, and great soundtrack. Well, they're descriptive. They convey the information that it is attempting to be conveyed. Yeah, so we finally got into the pipe. Thank you, Ginger Ninja. Always appreciate you. No, that makes sense. So what you're saying is it's case by case, Blue Felix, right? Because that would make sense rather than just doing a blanket rule over everything. Yeah, Steam's genres are so dumb. I bet I could pull up Steam right now and prove that. Hang on, let me write down Ginger Ninja's thing really quick. Or Citizen Sleeper, Doom Block, and Resident Evil Block. You got it. Thank you, Ginger Ninja. Let's see here. What have we got? Sure, let's pull up Stellaris. What do you got? What do you got? That should be pretty easy, right? They can't screw that up. Okay. So Stellaris is similar to no other games I've ever played. Yeah, anyways. What's really funny is I like the concept of the tags. I do. But they probably need a little bit more policing, and that means man hours, and that's why they don't do that. I think I know what fight this is. Well, I've never played it or read it, Ginger Ninja. So, like, all my missiles are supers now? That explains why they're only 3 damage instead of 5. Yeah, Valve is not made of money, sir. We cannot expect them to accomplish these things. I do like the dunes in the middle there, in the middle ground. Technically in the foreground. Oh god. Someone pull up Starfield so we can see what Starfield's tags are. Because it's got to be terrible, right? Oh, thank goodness, a Sabro. Come on. Space single-player sci-fi. Wow, that's actually more informative than I was expecting. Which is probably pathetic. But before we go ahead and do this, I am well over my cutoff time. So, tomorrow, elastic start time of 9 a.m. Eastern Standard, I will go ahead and continue Fusion. We'll see how it fares. See you next time, guys.